Good morning, students. In this video, we are going to discuss about biofortification from the chapter Strategies for Enhancement in Food Production. Now, let's see today's class. What is meant by biofortification actually? Biofortification is involved certain strategies. What are those? Breeding crops with higher levels of vitamins and minerals, or higher proteins and healthier fats, is the most practical means to improve public health. So that can be done by biofortification only. Understood? So breeding for improved nutritional quality is undertaken with the objectives of improving. Then what are the objectives involved in that? Let us see one by one in detail. First one, protein content and quality should be high, and oil content and quality should be also high level. Next, third one, vitamin content also should be at high level. Next, fourth one, micronutrient and mineral nutrients content also should be high at level. So plants which we are producing through breeding technique, all those plants should possess these objectives under biofortification technology or method. Understand? So in such a way, biofortification is helping to produce the plants in a large scale to produce vast number of plants with all the desirable characteristics. So on the screen you can see in 2020 maize hybrids that had twice the amount of the amino acids. Then what are those amino acids? Lysine and tryptophan. These two amino acids are very important for competitive examinations. Please remember it. So it happened in the year of 2020. Understood? Next, compared to existing maize hybrids were developed in that 2020, though, those amino acids are rich in those crops such as lysine and tryptophan. Next, in the same year 2020, a wheat variety Atlas 66. This is also very important for competitive examination. What is the name of the wheat variety? Atlas 66, having a high protein content, has been used as a donor for improving cultivated wheat. So this Atlas 66 became as a donor by sharing its genetic material for cultivation of new varieties in wheat crop. So it has been possible to develop an iron fortified rice variety containing over 5 times as much iron as in commonly consumed varieties. So this is developed and having iron fortified rice which is having 5 times more than the normal varieties which we are consuming every day. So that's the one of the advantage in biofortification. Next, golden rice you are seeing on the screen right now. This golden rice also having advanced characteristics compared with other consumer rice which we are taking every day in our daily life. So the Indian Agricultural Research Institute, New Delhi, so that's this IARI short form, and the full form is Indian Agricultural Research Institute located at New Delhi, has also released several vegetable crops that are rich in vitamins and minerals. Now let us see what are the different vegetable crops and different pulses and grains are produced by the IARI New Delhi. Let's see, vitamin A enriched crops. What are those? Carrots, spinach, pumpkin, etc. were developed by IARI, Indian Agricultural Research Institute. Next, vitamin C enriched crops such as bitter gourd, botwa, mustard, tomato are also developed by the IARI. Next, iron and calcium enriched crops such as spinach and botwa are developed by this IARI only to the public. Next, protein enriched crops such as beans. In beans different varieties are there, right? broad beans, lab. It's a scientific name for common beans. French and garden beans and peas. All these are protein-rich crops which are developed by the IRI. So in such a way, this biofortification helps to produce different varieties of crops, pulses and grains which are having high amount of vitamins like vitamin A, vitamin C and other minerals like iron and calcium and other nutrients like proteins. So these are the important points regarding biofortification. It can be asked a short answer in PU board examinations. Please remember it. So there are more advantages are there through biofortification. So we can increase the minerals, nutrients, contents in the crops by producing new variety of hybrids under laboratory conditions. Example, Indian Agricultural Research Institute located at New Delhi. Next, students, biofortification is not only useful for one certain level of people, it is useful for all the levels of the people, especially to the farmers. Farmers can produce new variety of crops, hybrid crops and semi-dwarf varieties which gives more yield to the farmer. And as usual, consumers looks about high nutrients minerals content in the crops, then obviously these biofortified crops are having those qualities. So in such a way, other levels of public also, society also will be benefited by this biofortification technology. Understand? So biofortification helps to produce different crops and which helps to reach the demand of the growing population. And that too, those crops are having all the different kinds of minerals and vegetables and nutrients which are high at level than the normal regular varieties which we are consuming every day. So biofortification, one more important process can be seen is biofortification is a process of increasing the density of vitamins and minerals in a crop through plant breeding or agronomic practices. You can see on the screen how the farmers are doing, so that the biofortified crops when consumed regularly will generate measurable improvement in vitamin and mineral nutrient status also. Understood? So students, now I am going to explain one more important short answer. It is nothing but single cell protein. It is also shortly called as SCP. Conventional agricultural production of cereals, pulses, vegetables and fruits, etc. may not be able to meet the demand of food at the rate at which human and animal population is increasing. As I told you students, conventional agricultural production, it means ancient methods which our parents and grandparents and ancestors used to follow, those are not sufficient to increase the yield in the way how the production of animals and human beings are increasing. So obviously we have to get sufficient amount of food, right? So government and society and farmers should supply sufficient amount of food to the growing population to reach the demand level. But this method is not at all useful, conventional agricultural method. Then what is the best other method? Let us see some more important techniques here. And as usual, some people what they're doing, they're shifting from the grain to meat diets also creates more demand for cereals, as it takes 3 to 10 kgs of grain to produce 1 kg of meat by animal farming. This is one important strategy, please remember it. I repeat once again, the shift from grain to meat diets also creates more demand for cereals, at it takes 3 to 10 kgs of grain to produce 1 kg of meat by animal farming. And one more calculation, let us look at it. More than 25% of human population is suffering from hunger and malnutrition. So how to compensate it? One of the alternate sources of proteins for animals and human consumption nutrients is Single cell protein, it is also shortly called as SCP. It is very important short answer for public examination, board examination. Please remember it. Let's have a talk regarding this SCP in detail. Microbes are being grown on an industrial scale as source of good protein. You can see on the screen, students, how the farmers are growing SCP. Example, spirulina. Please remember it and underline this point. It is very important for competitive examination. This spirulina is best example for blue-green algae. Can be useful for production of proteins in a large scale. The best alternate source of good proteins contents. This spirulina can be grown easily on materials such as wastewater from potato processing plants which containing starch, next straw grass, next molasses, next animal manure and sewage. These are all the different resources to produce the large quantities of proteins and can be served as a food rich in proteins, minerals, fats, carbohydrates and vitamins. And incidentally, such utilization also reduces environmental pollution. So students, this is important concept regarding single cell protein. Next, certain bacterial species like Meteophilus meteotropus, because of its high rate of biomass production and growth, can be expected to produce 25 tons of protein. So what is the best example here? What is the best bacteria? Meteophilus meteotropus is useful for production of high amount of biomass production and gives more yield of protein and expected to produce 25 tons of protein. Next, the fact that edible mushrooms are also eaten by many people, right? And a large scale of mushroom culture is also growing in industries, makes it believable that microscopic fungi it would be become acceptable as food resource. Next, one more important point, students. Spirulina cultivation. Let us see one important information regarding spirulina cultivation. Nowadays, this spirulina, which is also popularly called as blue-green algae, became as an important cultivation for the farmers because this is the best alternative source of proteins. Through this method, farmers can supply sufficient amount of proteins to the public and society, and this spirulina supplements are available in the market as in syrups form or tablets form or even other supplements also, which can be compensated proteins deficiency in our body in these tablets forms and capsules forms and syrups and shakes forms. And persons who are suffering with deficiency diseases through proteins deficiency and etc. can be compensated, can be treated with these spirulina supplements to compensate the loss of proteins in their bodies. And spirulina powder and consisting greater than 60% of proteins in it. So this is a best method for proteins production in the society other than regular crops and animal products. Next, students, I would like to tell you some more benefits regarding spirulina. Products from medicine and bioproducts and full of vitamins and minerals, great for cell regeneration, great protein source and easily digestible content it is, and superfood content it is, and antifungal, it works as an antifungal and anti-aging and fights with the cancer even, and antibacterial agent. So these are the different benefits of spirulina generally can be seen in the society. So spirulina supplements are here on the screen, like tablets form and powder and syrups form can be used as a best sources for proteins. Next, students, Meteophilus meteotropus picture also you can see on the screen, and as usual this spirulina diagram also and supplements in the form of tablets and powder also can be seen on the screen in this diagram. Next, one more important point I would like to bring to your notice. This SCP is mainly can be compensated by two organisms. One is Meteophilus meteotropus and second one is spirulina. And of course many other organisms are there, but these are playing a major role to compensate the loss of proteins in the daily diet. Next, another important concept, tissue culture. This is also important concept for short answer. Let us have a discussion. As traditional breeding techniques fail to keep pace with the demand and to provide sufficiently fast and efficient systems for crop improvement, then what is the best method here? Another technology is called as tissue culture. It is got developed. What does tissue culture exactly? Let us see what is tissue culture in detail. It was learned by scientists during 1950s, and that whole plants could be generated from explants. So what is meant by explants? The whole part can be produced by a single cell or a single part which we are taking from the any healthy plant. So the single cell or a part which we are taking, it is called as raw material. From which plant we are taking, that plant is called as explant, and this can be grown in a test tube under laboratory conditions. You can see on the screen scientists how they're growing plants in a laboratory conditions in the test tubes under sterile condition in specific nutrient medium only, like the medium consisting agar medium and other hormones also can be injected in that medium to grow the sapling in a speed manner. This capacity to generate a whole plant from cell or explant is called as totipotency. This is important short answer for 1 mark for PU board examination. Please underline. I repeat this definition once again. The capacity to generate a whole plant from a single cell or an explant is called as totipotency. You will learn how to accomplish this is higher classes in detail. In graduation level, you will get to know about this totipotency in a clear manner. So a carbon source, you can see the carbon source in a test tube, such as sucrose and other inorganic salts, vitamins, amino acids, and growth regulators like auxins, cytokinins, etc. can be also used in this nutrient medium. The application of these methods, it is possible to achieve propagation of a large number of plants in very short durations. Understand? This is important, please remember. This method of production of thousands of plants through tissue culture is called as micropropagation. What is meant by micropropagation? This is also important short answer. Please let us have a look regarding this micropropagation. The method of production of thousands of plants through tissue culture technique is called as micropropagation. Understood? So each of these plants will be genetically identical to the original plant from which they were grown. Example, they are commonly called as soma clones. Soma clones means they are genetically and morphologically similar to their parents. You can see on the screen how they look. Many important food plants like potato, banana, apple, etc. have been produced on commercial scale using this method. Which method? Micropropagation method under tissue culture process. So try to visit a tissue culture laboratory if it is possible near to your surroundings with your parents, and you will get to know more information how it is applying generally in society. Next, another important application of the method is the recovery of healthy plants from disease in plants, even if the plant is infected with a virus. So meristem culture, it is called as meristem culture. So the meristem is present at the apical and axillary sites, which is free from virus. Understand, in a plant. So location of meristem, shoot tips and root tips and axillary buds region, which is free from virus infection, and one can remove the meristem and grow in vitro to obtain virus free plants. Scientists have succeeded in culturing meristems of banana, sugarcane, potato, etc. So you can also become as a scientist to produce these new hybrid plants through meristem culture. Scientists have even isolated single cells from plants, and often digesting their cell walls have been able to isolate naked protoplasts surrounded by the plasma membrane. Cell wall is here have been isolated naked protoplasts are taking, and after digesting the cell walls. Next, the protoplasm is now surrounded by the plasma membrane because cell wall is dissolved. Understand? So plant cells no, that's why plant cells consisting cell walls no, those cell walls are dissolved and only the protoplasm is surrounded by the plasma membrane. Next, isolated protoplasts from two different varieties of plants, each having a desirable character, can be fused to get hybrid protoplasts, which can be further grown to form a new plant. So the new plant here can be produced through meristem culture. You can see on the screen how they are producing. Next, each having a desirable character can be fused a get hybrid protoplasm, which can be further grown to form a new plant. Okay, these hybrids are collected and commonly called from scientific language, it is nothing but somatic hybrid, plural somatic hybrids, collected from plant cells only, while the process is called as somatic hybridization. Somatic hybridization diagram is there on the screen. I repeat this concept once again, please listen, because it is important for competitive examination. These hybrids are called somatic hybrids, while the process is called somatic hybridization. Imagine a situation when a protoplasm of tomato is fused with the plant of potato, and they can grow to form a new hybrid plant. It is called as pomato, combining potato and tomato characteristics and producing a new variety. The new variety is called as tomato, which is having both characteristics of potato and as well as tomato, and resulting in formation of both potato and tomatoes. Mineral and nutrients can be seen in one single plant only. Unfortunately, this plant did not have all the desired combination of characteristics for commercial utilization. So scientists not taken much important care regarding this type of culture to produce the tomato plants. Understand? So students, with this I conclude this video. Hope you understood. In next class, in the next class, we will discuss new chapter, another chapter. This strategy chapter is completed with this concept. Thank you one and all.